forgot the mute. Hello and welcome to you all. My name is Vishal, and this is our cohort for NFPA. So, not for NFPA, though we do NFPA also. This is for strategic for strategy management. So this is more of a business thing, more of business, how to define your business. Give me just one moment. Hello and welcome to you all. My name is Vishal. Okay, we're just checking on the social media if the voice and all is going fine. So very good morning to you all. So what we do in these sessions are we bring in we have an industry expert who has been an industry veteran for a very long time, and for around about 35 years he has been into this industry of not only construction but process, installation, facility management, you call it production management, and he has written a book very recently on strategy management, which has been published last November, and that book is as good as your handbook for defining strategy of your organization, making a strategy of your organization, and of course the very important tool is the business scorecard wherein you are able to you are able to measure that your strategy is actually your works that you're doing day in and day out, your operations of your organization is aligning towards the strategy. So let's welcome Mr. Gopal, and let me just open up the, okay, here we go. Mr. Gopal, you're live, and welcome to the session today.
All right, thank you, Vishal, and welcome everyone. It's echoing, I think. No, not. No.
I just muted myself.
I think it is echoing.
It should be okay now. You should go ahead, please.
Okay. Welcome everyone. We will just do a quick recall. Last week we were looking at the strategy development process, and Vishal, can you allow me to share a screen?
My bad, I just did that. Please go ahead.
Okay, no problem. It happens. Okay. Just 1 second so that I can, yes. Okay. So we'll continue from the last week. We were looking at the strategy development process, and we looked at there are 4 key steps involved. Once you develop the vision, mission, and values for an organization, which are the guiding principles, and giving you a compass that what you want to achieve in the long run for the organization, you do the strategic analysis to validate whether whatever you're trying to achieve, is it possible or not possible, and how you're going to achieve it. So you need to have all the information with regard to the external environment, that means the business environment and the industry environment, whether it is possible to have that kind of a growth or that kind of revenues and results from the industry. And then you also do the internal analysis, whether you are capable or your organization is capable of getting it. And if not, what needs to be done to prepare the operations or to prepare the business to achieve those kind of results, what we are targeting. So that is what you do as part of a strategic analysis. In formulation, once you have all the information, excuse me, you have all the information, then based on that, you develop your strategies. Key decisions you need to make is where to compete, which industry, which segment you're going to compete, who is going to be your main competitors. And then you need to identify the customers whom you're going to serve. And for those customers, you need to articulate your value proposition, that what kind of a value you're going to provide to your customers. And then you have the game plan that how you're going to do it, how you're going to compete, and how you're going to satisfy your customers by delivering the value what you are promising to them. And once you do the strategy formulation and then you do the gap analysis in the sense that, okay, what is my current level of performance and what my desired performance in the future, and then how I'm going to bridge the gap. So this is what the developing the strategy is. And finally, you have implementing the strategy. So where you have the action plans, some strategic initiatives to bridge that gap, what you have identified in the third step. Right. So this is what the whole process is all about. We looked at this also. We were discussing same details what I just now told you. So you develop the mission, vision, values, then you decide on the strategy goals, do the analysis, formulation, and then implementation of the strategy. This is the complete cycle of strategy management, which includes the development and strategy implementation. So continuing from here, when you are developing this strategy, it's typically for a mid-sized organization, it takes 10 to 12 weeks. It of course depends on the size of the organization, how widely the organization is spread. Are you operating in multiple geographies, the number of people, the customers, revenue? So many other factors are involved. And based on the size of the organization, complexity of the operations, your strategy development process may take as small as 8 weeks and as large as maybe 16 to 18 weeks. So large organizations, they normally have year around. For example, a big conglomerate with international spread, they might be doing year around. They keep continuing their strategy cycle process. So that they are up to date in terms of knowing the market and knowing how they are performing, right? So typical schedule is around 10 weeks. I will say mid-size organization, maybe 100 million to $200 million company. If you talk about, then it takes around 10 to 12 weeks. That's my personal experience, I'm telling. And then you prepare a schedule. The key elements of the schedule is that the first you look at the strategic intent, why we are developing a strategy, what we are trying to achieve, what are our goals, right? So there you look at the mission, values, and quantifying the vision that what you're going to achieve, and identifying the preliminary issues, because you do the analysis of the previous year's performance and then identify the gaps in performance, and then look at what were the main issues for, let's say, not up to the mark performance. Or if you have done extremely well, then you do the analysis that how did we do it? If you have done much better than what you planned, then you look at that what things went right and that try to learn from that and then include it in current year's plan. That, okay, these are the things worked for us, and then we will continue using them. So that is what you do as a first step at a high level. Then you do the strategic analysis, as I told just in the previous slide, that you do the external environment analysis. Then you also do the internal analysis, which includes capabilities, resources, and all those things. And then identify the key issues or key areas of focus where we want to focus and improve. And that we call as SWOT analysis. So SWOT stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. We will be looking into SWOT analysis a little later in detail. Once you identify the key issues, then you develop your strategy that these issues, whether positive or negative, how you are going to deal with those. So strategy formulation involves some key decisions, and these are big decisions. The first one is where to compete, which industry we are in, which geography we are going to compete, who are our competitors. So all those things, decisions need to be made. And if you're already a running business, then of course you take the inputs from your previous years of a strategic plan, previous years of business plan, and then you don't bring radical change overnight, but you change over a period of a time. So you continue with the previous year's strategy if it is a running business. You relook at that whether our existing markets are sufficient or we need to go to some new markets to explore, to spread and to improve our revenues and profit. So that kind of a decisions you need to take if you are having a existing business. The second very important decision is that what kind of a value we are going to provide to our customers. Because to beat the competition, you need to be different from your competitors. And the difference comes from the value proposition. Are you a business which is going to provide value for money to your customer, or are you going to provide a industry leading top quality product or service to your customers? So these are the decisions you need to make. And based on that, you will have your business strategy. So that business strategy is your game plan. That is the third bullet point, how you're going to compete. And based on all this, based on the strategy, based on the how part of the strategy, how you're going to do it, and based on your understanding of the business environment, then you develop a financial model that how I'm going to make profit for the organization. And that complete game plan is actually your strategy. And what we develop, as we will see in subsequent episodes, how you can show it pictorially, that what is your game plan. We call that as a strategy map. And we also have a kind of a measurement system to track our performance in terms of how we are doing on various aspects of our business. And that is called the scorecard, right? So we have to have, or we develop a strategy map and we have a balanced scorecard that to track the performance. The strategy map is used for communicating and understanding the complete game plan, and the scorecard is for tracking the performance. Right? And once we have the strategy done, then we need to implement the strategy. And this is where the toughest part is. Implementation has to be done across the organization. Everybody needs to be involved. So that's it requires a lot of effort and resources. So implementation is for bridging the gap between the current level of performance and desired level of performance, and then decomposing the value gap. And then we initiate the action plans that how we are going to bridge that gap. So those initiatives need to be taken. Maybe you identified that maybe your capacity is not enough. You need to increase your capacity, or you need to upgrade your equipment and machinery if you are in a manufacturing industry. So all those actions need to be finalized. You need to be planned, and then resources in terms of people and financial resources need to be allocated for those action plans, and then we need to implement those action plans. And those will help us in bridging the gap between the desired performance and the current level of performance. So this is the typical schedule. This is broadly what actions need to be taken for development and implementation of the strategy. Right? We will take the questions, I think, at the end of the session, and just keep those in your mind. And yeah.
Yes, I'm keeping an eye on our social media as well as on our chat box.
Okay. All right. Okay. Okay, so but you need to, the first thing, very, very important thing is for us to know that leadership team needs to drive the strategy development and the strategy execution, the whole process, right? Because without leadership's presence, people will not be really cooperating. If it is left to the strategy team or the lower level of people, then people will not be cooperating. So leadership's involvement needs to be visible to all employees, and from the day one and on a continual basis. So that is very, very important. So wherever we are talking about the steps which are involved, it's not necessary that they need to be full-time basis, they need to get involved, but they need to be visible, they need to communicate to the employees. So leadership's role is very, very important in successful strategy management. Okay. Most of the high-level workshops and meetings, leadership team will be, of course, attending. They will also be addressing all the employees, maybe through town hall meetings and other online media, these things. So leadership's role is very, very important. And here is the quick look at what are the things which need to be done, what kind of workshops need to be arranged for identifying or taking those steps for a strategy development and implementation. Right? So week one, let's say you kick off the meeting, you start that, okay, you decide that for the next year or next 5 years, we are going to plan our strategy. Right? So the step one is defining the strategic destination. Now, a strategic destination involves developing mission, vision, and values so that you know where the organization wants to achieve in reach in next 5 years time, for example, or 10 years time. Some organization, they have long-term vision up to 10 years also. But before that, you need to have the mission and values. We will look into these elements further in subsequent episodes. So first step is to define a strategic destination. You take inputs from all the people in the organization, and then you take those inputs and articulate those inputs in your mission, vision, and values. You have all kind of workshops at every level. And based on that, you define the strategic destination. Then you identify those key themes we talked about previously, very briefly just now, those themes will drive the strategy. That's the second step. And the third step is, sorry, building the strategic objectives and linkage. So the first workshop, you identify or you articulate your mission, vision, and values. You identify the value gap, and based on that value gap, you identify key themes that drives your strategy, and then you put some kind of objectives and linkages so that you know how this strategy is going to be implemented. Right? So you have all those objectives and the linkages showing that how achieving those objectives will lead to your financial result. So that's the first workshop you have, right? So the workshop will be at a different levels. For example, developing mission, vision, and values, maybe senior leadership team and the managers, they may be involved in different workshop settings, right, to take inputs from them. And then for building the strategic objectives and linkages based on the inputs coming from all the people within the organization and from key stakeholders. For example, you take inputs from your customers and your suppliers, also your channel partner also. So you take inputs from all of them, and then you develop those key objectives which will help you in achieving your vision or your long-term goals. And then based on those inputs, you develop some kind of a map which shows how you're going to achieve your objectives and the financial results. Right? The fourth step involves developing measures that how you're going to drive the performance and measure the performance. So measuring the performance, it's not only the financial measures. Here we are talking about all those lead measures which lead to the financial results. So lead measures are those in-process measures, which are actually an indicator which can give you an advance warning or advance information whether you're going to achieve your objectives, financial objectives. So, for example, if you are able to sell enough to achieve your financial objectives, you know that you're going to achieve your revenue and profit targets. So the sale is the lead measure for your financial targets, right? And for the sales or customers buying, for that the lead measure is your customers need to be happy. At least the customers who have already bought your services or product from you, they need to be happy so that they will share with other customers or other potential customers rather, and those will come to you for buying your products or services. So customer satisfaction becomes a lead measure which gives you an indication that, okay, more customers are going to come. So if I have my existing customers are satisfied, by word of mouth publicity, these customers will tell others and they will come to us. So this is how the lead measures. Very often, most of the organization, I would say more than 80% of the organizations, they don't track those lead measures. Because if you measure those lead indicators, then you will have an idea that what kind of final results I'm going to achieve, right? So this, we will go into further details, of course, this is one of the important steps. So step 4 involves you conduct the workshop. Before conducting high level workshop or leadership workshop, you conduct those workshops in a small settings within the departments and within the work unit or business units, and take inputs from everybody and discuss it at high level and then finalize the mission. Communication is sorry. Communication is very important at each level and at each stage. So you need to involve, because buy-in will come only if you involve your employees. So it's very important that your employees are involved appropriately. I'm not asking that, okay, all employees and you need to involve them in the leadership meeting, for example. But then you can have a town hall meeting where the leadership team is communicating with the whole organization in one single setting. So that's the things need to be kept in mind. And once you determine the measures and targets, then you take an inventory that, okay, what we have, what we don't have, what needs to be done, so that you finalize the action plans, and then you develop the strategy map, and that is how then you start implementing it. One second, I'm not able to remove this bottom. Okay. And then step 6, sorry. Okay, I'll learn that later. Okay, step 6 is getting to the first report. So step 5 involves inventory map and select priority initiatives, what we talked about a little earlier. And then step 6 is you get your first report on your performance. Depending on your organization, you might have the monthly reports, you might have quarterly reports, you might have half-yearly reports and annual reports, obviously. And some of the organizations, they even ask departmental level, at least they have weekly reports also. For example, manufacturing, the production department will have weekly productivity reports, right? So depending on the business requirement, you will have those reporting, and which will be clearly defined as part of your strategy development process. Whatever I'm talking about, these key steps and what are the things which need to be done, they are decided beforehand. And then the responsibilities are defined, responsibilities are allocated to the people, and they are responsible for carrying out those activities and generating the reports and data. So that's very important.
I think we should conclude over here because
Yes.
the next slides, following slides, will be delving into more details, and we are
Yes.
about to just 4 minutes to go.
Ah, okay. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, that is what happens. Time flies when you love things, and you're
Mm.
doing things that you love.
Yes, that is definitely true.
So the one question that comes is when we talk about the kickoff meeting, the leadership is there, and they come and they would do a town hall, or perhaps an equivalent version in the Middle East would be that they are all brought into all the department heads are brought into the boardroom.
Mhm.
They are given an instruction that, hey, Mr. Heads of departments, we have consultant XYZ, and he's going to be doing the strategy management for us. What people actually miss out is that the consultant will only be getting the information from yourself. They will not be the one who would be, because they are not organization like is like an organism. So the consultant would not know what is going on in the organization, and of course at the end of the day many of the consultants, they are accused of saying that they asked us the information as the organization heads, and they put the same information onto the onto the maybe swim lane charts, onto the process maps, onto the total diagram and scorecard. How do you respond to that?
Okay. Uh, the, the first thing we need to understand is that you know your business better than anybody else. Okay. So you are the best person who has knowledge about the business. External consultant will not be able to know what you know in a short period of time. So he has to be fed. And in that sense, a consultant for these kind of engagements. See, there are independent projects, there are other consulting assignments. For example, you are looking at entering into a new country as a business, right? So you want to know what is going on in that country because you are not aware of it. You don't know. You may be high level, you know that what is going on as far as your industry is concerned in that country, what is the scope, what kind of a growth is there, who are the competitors. You may be high level information you have. But then if you take a decision that you are going to enter in that country based on your preliminary investigation, you find it very lucrative and you decide, then to know in detail, to develop your strategy, you might appoint a consultant to give you the detailed report about that country and that industry so that you are able to take a decision. In those kind of scenarios, your consultant will be able to do a better job without any inputs from you, right? You only need to give him the scope of work, what you expect from him, and what are the critical things which are need to be included in that report. So that's one kind of assignment. But where we are talking about getting into your organization for bringing improvements to your organization's performance, you need, because you know your business better than anybody else. You are day in and day out, you're breathing your business. I'm talking about all employees. I'm not talking about only the owners. So the managers, the leadership team, the owners may be sitting somewhere else rather. So people who are running that business, they know this business better than anybody else. So you need to feed to the consultant the required information so that he is able to analyze that information and give you recommendations. So that is where he has to get inputs from you. If you don't tell him that these are the challenges I am facing in my operations, or these are the problems with regard to this particular function, for him to discover those things will take time. And there is no point in wasting time and resources, because the more time they spend on your business, the more you will have to pay them.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I mean,
Yeah.
very well put forward. So it's the
Yes.
consultants, of course, because I feel that now I've seen at least transition of 2, 3 organizations during my
Mhm.
tenure of working with organizations. Now this is independent of this is my opinion, and it does not represent the opinion of my former or current employer. Let me put it
Mhm.
that way, very a disclaimer out there. And what I've seen is that the leadership team, not the leadership. To me, the leadership team is the CXO levels. So
Okay.
the leadership team uh, finds out, yeah, guys, we need to put something in place. Let's bring an external consultant and let's get done. Let's do an like a introspection of the organization itself. So what they're trying to
Mhm.
do is find out where are we today, where we want to go, and what needs to be done to reach over there. So these three basic answers, questions are being answered when it comes to do the strategy development. What happens is in this kickoff meeting is that
Mhm.
usually they it is done a selective listening, and they come up with saying, okay, it means the consultant's responsibility is to get over us. They will tell us what to do the right way, what not to do the right way. So it's very important that in the kickoff meeting this is made clear as well, especially wherein the external consultants are brought in. However, if the strategy development is a process within the organization, uh, I feel that people, the departments of may not open up as much as an external consultant might make them open up. But things gets overboard a bit when the external consultant starts asking them for data which they have to pull. Don't make them do the work. That is where things start getting a bit painful, rather. Let me put it this way. And it does not become a strategy management. It sometimes people perceive it as a fault finding mission as well. So yes, these are some practical problems that I feel. I don't know what is your opinion on this, Mr. Gopal, but I feel these are some of the practical problems where even the planning stage you didn't get a complete buy-in. Maybe the leadership has bought in, but not the management team, and of course the supervisor and the team member level people in the organization. That's
No,
my
yeah, yeah. No, what you're saying is correct, but that is where the art of consulting comes into picture. In the sense that you need to the consultant needs to operate in such a way that the employees don't feel threatened. Okay, so this is where the consultant plays a major role. And this happens in an organization where already there is an atmosphere of mistrust between the workers or employees and the management or leadership team. Okay, so it's very, very important. See, it's not because of the consultant, I tell you, primarily because the existing work environment is not very conducive of cooperation. That is where the problem is. If already there is a mistrust between the management and the workers, then nothing will work.
yeah,
So,
I agree.
so obviously, when there is a mistrust, the moment you bring in a third party to the organization and uh, telling the organization what to do, what not to do, immediately the workers will think that, oh, now again, maybe they are downsizing the organization. Maybe some people have to leave. You know, so that's where the problem is.
Yeah,
So
and
first, yes, we need to set the work culture and the environment right before taking any of these major projects.
that's
Yeah.
true. And not only
Yes.
that, especially after the corona, uh,
Mm.
even the best of the organization, Fortune 50 companies, let me put it that way, which where the employee retention, employee development, inclusivity, all these HR related terms and practices are in practice, there also this
Mhm.
mistrust has happened big time,
Yeah.
wherein
Big time. Yes.
the team member level people, they feel that the management or the leadership team is trying to cheat them, and the leadership and the management teams feels as if the whole the rest of the team member level and of course the supervisor level people are trying to cheat them. And I agree and that's the reason you have two major trends that has happened in the after the corona era. Number one is your mass resignation that has happened. Number two is I'm not justifying all those things, but I'm just pondering on them. And number two is once quiet quitting. That's one of the terms that has come up where people are only doing their bare minimum what they are supposed to do as per their job profile. So these are two major trends that are being seen out there, even in the Fortune 50 company, the best of best companies out there. So yeah. So let's not.
Yes.
I think we have gone overboard, and I'm seeing that we are getting a lot of likes and claps on the LinkedIn,
Okay.
which means people are also agreeing with us indirectly. So with that, up until the next week, do you want to say anything, Mr. Gopal, before we leave?
No, nothing. Thank you for joining us. And this is a weekly session we conduct on every Sunday. Maybe for some people, if it is too early in the morning on a weekend. So do let us know, about the quality, or you want us to cover any specific topics and details, or you want to change the timings. Do let us know. Thank you very much for joining.
Yes, please.
Thank you, Vishal.
Thank you, sir. So at the end of this session, you will see a screen coming up wherein you will have a QR code. You can scan that QR code with your WhatsApp camera, and you can join our WhatsApp group. In that group, you are more than welcome to ask these questions or suggest any suggestions for us. Any feedback is more than welcome. We have industry veteran who is giving out graciously all this knowledge to us, and we should wholeheartedly come forward and accept it, and of course learn from it. With that, we come to the end of our session today. Thank you very much for joining us today. You have a wonderful Sunday ahead. Bye bye.
All right.